Stop, don't scroll. If you're hearing this right now, then this message found you for a reason, and ignoring it may not be something you can undo later. When a message carries the name of Archangel Michael and Jesus Christ, it is not meant to be taken lightly, because such names are often associated with protection, guidance, and truth, and when they are mentioned together with urgency, it creates a moment you should not ignore so easily. Right now, you may feel like this is just another message, something you can skip and move on from. But what if it isn't? What if this is one of those moments where your attention actually matters more than you realize? The line, "You have only 10 seconds, is not just about time, it is about your decision, whether you choose to listen or ignore. Think carefully, how many times have you ignored something important, only to realize later that you should have paid attention? Moments don't always come twice. Sometimes they appear once, quietly, urgently, and then they're gone. The feeling you have right now, that slight hesitation, that curiosity, even that small fear, that is what makes this moment different. Because deep inside, a part of you is wondering, what if this actually matters? Messages like this don't force you, they test you. Will you pause and listen? Or will you ignore and move on? Because sometimes the biggest mistakes are not the things we do, but the things we choose to ignore. The mention of losing connection, losing guidance, can feel heavy, and that is what makes this moment intense, because it creates a sense of finality, like something once missed may not return again. And that thought alone is enough to make anyone stop and think. So don't rush past this moment. Take it seriously. Take a second. And decide consciously. Because right now, the real question is not about the message. It's about your choice. And if you are still here, then listen even more carefully, because moments like this are not repeated again and again, they come once, and they pass before you even realize what you ignored. When something says, "last chance," it creates a feeling that this is the point where everything depends on what you choose next, and when names like Archangel Michael and Jesus Christ are used together with urgency, it makes the situation feel even heavier, as if this is not just a message, but a final call for your attention. Right now, your mind might be telling you to skip, to move on, to treat this like anything else. But there is another part of you that is not so sure. That small hesitation, that feeling that, maybe I should just listen a little more, that is what makes this moment different from all the others you ignored. Think about this. What if this is one of those rare moments where ignoring it creates regret later? Not because something dramatic happens instantly, but because you'll remember that you had a chance to pay attention, and you didn't. Sometimes regret doesn't come from action, it comes from inaction. The idea of losing something is powerful. Losing guidance, losing connection, losing something you didn't even fully understand yet. That thought alone creates a weight, a pressure that stays in your mind even after you move on. And that's why this moment feels intense. Because it's not just about fear, it's about uncertainty. Will something happen if you ignore it? Or will nothing happen at all? That unknown is what makes it hard to walk away completely. So don't rush your decision. Pause for a second. Let the moment settle. And choose with awareness, not impulse. Because sometimes the moments we almost ignore are the ones we remember the longest. If you are still here, then this is the moment where everything becomes heavier, quieter, and more intense at the same time, because now you are no longer just reacting to a message, you are sitting with it, thinking about it, feeling it. And that is where its real impact begins, because fear is not always loud, sometimes it is silent, it sits in the back of your mind, slowly asking questions, slowly creating doubt. Slowly making you wonder if this is something you should have taken more seriously, and when a message uses names like Archangel Michael and Jesus Christ together with urgency, it is not just trying to get your attention. It is trying to create a feeling that this moment is different from all the others, that this is not just something you scroll past, but something you pause for, something you remember. Right now, think about what you felt when you first read it. That small pause. That moment where your thumb almost scrolled, but didn't. That hesitation is important. Because most things in life don't create that feeling. Most things are easy to ignore. But when something creates even a small hesitation, it means it touched something inside your mind, something that made you question for just a second, what if? And that, what if, is where everything begins. What if this matters? What if this is different? What if ignoring this is a mistake? These questions don't come with answers. They come with uncertainty. And uncertainty is what makes a moment feel powerful, because your mind doesn't like not knowing. It tries to fill the gaps. It tries to imagine outcomes. It tries to prepare for something that may not even exist. But here's where it gets deeper. The message doesn't tell you exactly what will happen. It doesn't give you clear information. It only creates pressure. It says you will lose something. It says this is your last chance. It says you have only seconds. And when something is unclear but urgent, your mind automatically starts creating its own meaning, its own fear, its own interpretation. And that is why it feels real. Because the fear is not coming from the message alone. It is coming from your own thoughts reacting to it. Think about that carefully. If the message had no urgency, no countdown, no mention of losing something important, would it feel the same? Probably not. It would just be another line of text. But the moment urgency is added, everything changes. Because urgency removes time. And when time is removed, thinking becomes difficult. That is the purpose. To make you feel like you cannot wait. To make you feel like you must decide immediately. To make you feel like hesitation itself is dangerous. And yet, here you are. You didn't rush. You didn't react instantly. You stayed. You kept reading. That already means something. Because most people don't do that. Most people either panic or ignore. But you are doing something different, you are observing. And observation changes everything. Because when you observe something instead of reacting to it, you begin to see it clearly. You begin to notice patterns. You begin to understand how it works. Look at the structure again. First, it creates authority, by using powerful names. Then, it creates urgency, by giving you seconds. Then, it creates fear, by saying you will lose something. This combination is not random. It is precise. It is designed to make your mind feel overwhelmed just enough to stop thinking clearly. But here's the truth that slowly becomes visible the longer you stay calm. Nothing in your real environment has changed. There is no visible event happening. There is no immediate danger around you. There is no real countdown outside of the message itself. Everything is exactly as it was before you read it. And that is important. Because reality does not suddenly change because of words. Reality changes through real events, real actions, real situations that you can actually see, hear, and verify. But this message gives you none of that. It only gives you a feeling. A feeling of urgency. A feeling of fear. A feeling of "don't ignore this." And feelings, no matter how strong they are not always truth. They are reactions. Your mind reacting to what it just read. Your emotions reacting to what it just imagined. And once you see that clearly, something inside you starts to shift. The fear begins to lose its grip. The urgency begins to slow down. The pressure begins to fade. Because now you are no longer inside the reaction. You are outside it, observing it. And that is where control begins. Control does not come from forcing yourself to feel nothing. Control comes from understanding what you feel. You felt urgency because the message created it. You felt fear because the message suggested loss. You felt hesitation because your mind wanted clarity. But now you also feel something else. Awareness. Awareness that you can choose how to respond. And that awareness is powerful. Because once you have it, you are no longer being pulled by the message. You are standing still, grounded, thinking clearly. Now ask yourself something honestly. If you close this right now, what actually changes? Does anything in your life immediately shift? Does anything real suddenly happen? Or does everything remain exactly the same? The answer is simple. Everything remains the same. And that is the point where the illusion fully breaks. Because the message tried to make you believe that something depends on your reaction. That something will be lost if you don't act. But reality shows you otherwise. Nothing is being taken from you. Nothing is being removed from your life. Nothing is controlled by a few seconds of your attention. And once you see that clearly, the fear has nothing left to hold on to. It fades. Not because you forced it away, but because you understood it. And understanding is stronger than fear. Now you are left with a calm mind. A steady thought process. A clear sense of what is real and what is not. And that is where real strength lies. Not in reacting quickly, but in staying calm when something tries to rush you. Not in believing everything you read, but in questioning it. Not in giving away your control, but in keeping it. And this is what you take from this moment. That not every urgent message is real. That not every fear is truth. That not every countdown matters. And most importantly, That your response is always your choice. You can react. Or you can observe. You can panic. Or you can understand. And right now, you chose understanding. And that changes everything. If you are still here, then this is the stage where everything becomes deeper, quieter, and completely clear inside your mind, because now you are not just reading or reacting, you are understanding, and that understanding changes everything. Because earlier the message may have felt intense, urgent, even a little overwhelming, but now you are starting to see it from a different place, a calmer place, a place where your thoughts are no longer being pushed by fear, and this is important. Because fear only has power when it moves faster than your thinking, and the moment your thinking slows down and becomes clear, that power begins to disappear. And that is exactly what has happened step by step as you stayed here and continue to read instead of reacting instantly. Think about the very beginning of this moment. When you first saw the message, it was designed to hit you immediately, not slowly, not calmly, but instantly, with words like "last chance," "you will lose," and "only seconds left." Because those words are not meant to explain anything, they are meant to create a reaction before you even have time to understand what is being said, and when names like Archangel Michael and Jesus Christ are added, it increases the emotional weight even more, because those names carry meaning, belief, and importance for many people, and when they are used together with urgency, it makes the message feel even more serious, even more difficult to ignore. And that combination is what creates that initial moment of hesitation inside you. That hesitation is where everything begins. Because hesitation means you didn't just scroll past it. You paused. You noticed it. You felt something. And when you feel something, your mind starts asking questions. What if this is real? What if I miss something important? What if ignoring this is a mistake? These questions don't come with clear answers, and that is exactly why they feel powerful, because your mind does not like uncertainty. It tries to fill that uncertainty with possibilities, and most of the time, those possibilities lean toward fear. Because fear is the brain's way of trying to protect you, even when there is no real danger present. But now, as you continue reading, something changes. You are no longer reacting instantly. You are no longer inside that first wave of emotion. You are observing it. And observation is what breaks the effect. Because when you observe something, you begin to understand how it works, and once you understand how something works, it becomes easier to see through it. Look at the message again, not emotionally, but logically. It creates urgency by giving you seconds. It creates fear by saying you will lose something. It creates pressure by telling you not to ignore it. But it never gives you clarity. It never explains what exactly will happen. It never shows you any real evidence. It never connects to anything you can actually verify. And that is important. Because real situations in life are not built on vague fear, they are built on clear information, clear actions, and clear evidence, things you can see, hear, or confirm in your environment. Now look around you. Everything is still the same. Nothing has suddenly changed. No real event is happening that matches the intensity of that message. This is your reality. And reality is always stronger than imagination. The message tried to create a feeling, but it did not create an actual event, and once you see that difference clearly, the entire illusion starts to fade, because you realize that what you felt was not coming from something happening outside. It was coming from your own mind reacting to what it read. That realization is powerful, because it shifts you from being controlled to being aware. And awareness changes your entire experience. Instead of feeling like something is about to happen, you start realizing that nothing is actually happening. Instead of feeling rushed, you start noticing that there is no real-time pressure. Instead of feeling like you might lose something, you begin to see that nothing has been taken from you. This is where control returns to you. Because control is not about stopping your thoughts, it is about understanding them, and right now you understand that the fear you felt was created by the structure of the message, not by reality itself. Your mind created images, possibilities, and outcomes, but those were all based on suggestion, not on facts. And once you see that clearly, those thoughts begin to lose their intensity, because they no longer feel true, they just feel like reactions that came and went. Now think about something important. If you had reacted instantly, if you had panicked, if you had believed everything without questioning, you might have carried that fear longer. You might have acted on it. You might have stayed stuck in that feeling. But you didn't. You paused. You stayed. You thought. And that changed everything. Because now, instead of fear, you have clarity. Instead of urgency, you have calmness. Instead of confusion, you have understanding. And that is where real strength lies. Not in reacting quickly, but in staying calm when something tries to rush you. Not in believing everything, but in questioning what you see. Not in losing control, but in taking it back. At this stage, your mind is no longer trying to imagine worst-case scenarios, because it understands that there is no real situation behind the message, and when your mind understands something clearly, it stops creating unnecessary fear. Because there is nothing left to protect you from. You are safe. Nothing is being taken from you. Nothing depends on a few seconds. Nothing important is disappearing. And once you accept that fully, the message has no power left. It becomes just words. Words that once felt intense, but now feel empty. Because they no longer control your thoughts. And that is the final shift. From reaction to awareness. From fear to clarity. From pressure to control. Now you can move forward with a calm and steady mind, knowing that not everything that feels urgent is real, not everything that feels powerful is true, and not everything that tries to scare you deserves your attention. And most importantly, you understand that your response is always your choice. You can react. Or you can observe. You can panic. Or you can understand. And the moment you choose understanding, everything changes. If you are still here, then this is the stage where your understanding becomes completely unshakable, because now there is no confusion left, no fear, and no emotional pull from that message, only clarity. And that clarity shows you something very important, that nothing in your real life was ever connected to it, nothing changed, nothing was at risk, and the entire intensity you felt in the beginning was created only for a moment inside your mind. And once you slowed down and started thinking clearly, that intensity disappeared, because it had no real foundation to stand on. Now you can also see how your mind moved through this experience. At first there was a reaction, a quick emotional response triggered by urgency and strong words, then there was curiosity and doubt, and then slowly, as you stayed present and continued reading, that reaction turned into understanding, and this process itself is your strength, because it shows that you are not controlled by your first thought or your first feeling. You have the ability to step back, to observe, and to guide your own thinking, and that ability is what keeps you stable in situations like this, because instead of getting pulled into fear, you bring yourself back to reality. At this point, your thoughts are no longer racing, no longer trying to imagine unknown outcomes, because you have already seen that there is nothing real behind the message, and when your mind understands that clearly, it stops creating unnecessary fear, because there is nothing left to react to, and this calmness is important, because it allows you to focus on what actually matters, your real life, your real decisions, and your real experiences, instead of something that was never real to begin with. The use of powerful names like Archangel Michael and Jesus Christ may have made the message feel serious at first, but now you understand that true meaning never comes with fear or pressure. It never forces you to act within seconds or tells you that you will lose something if you don't respond. Instead, it allows you to stay calm and think clearly, and that is exactly what you have done, and that is why you are now in control. Not the message. Bring your focus back one more time to your present moment. Everything around you is normal, stable, and unchanged, and this is the most important truth, because it confirms that your reality was never affected, only your thoughts were. And once your thoughts became clear, everything returned to calm, and this is what you carry forward from this moment. In the end, this becomes a simple but powerful understanding, that not everything that feels urgent is real, not everything that feels emotional is true, and not everything that tries to pressure you deserves your reaction. And once you fully accept this, you naturally remain calm, aware, and in control in every similar situation, because you know how to pause, observe, and think clearly before reacting, and that awareness becomes your real strength, your real protection, and your real peace. If you are still here, then this is the final stage where everything becomes completely settled inside your mind, because now there is no fear left, no urgency, and no confusion, only a deep sense of clarity and control. And that clarity shows you something very simple yet powerful, that nothing in your real life was ever connected to that message, nothing changed, nothing was at risk. And the entire intensity you felt at the beginning existed only for a brief moment inside your thoughts, and once you slowed down and understood it, it disappeared completely, because it had no real foundation. At this point, you can clearly see how your thinking shifted step by step, from an instant emotional reaction to a calm and stable understanding, and that shift is your strength, because it proves that you are not controlled by urgency or fear. You are capable of stepping back, observing your thoughts, and bringing yourself back to reality, and this ability is what keeps you steady in situations that are designed to disturb you, because instead of reacting blindly, you choose to think. And that choice keeps you in control. Now your mind is completely calm, because it is no longer trying to imagine unknown situations or predict something that was never real, and this calmness allows you to focus on what truly matters: your real life, your real actions, and your real priorities. And when your attention stays on what is real, your confidence naturally grows, because you are not influenced by sudden or emotional messages, you are guided by your own awareness. The mention of powerful names like Archangel Michael and Jesus Christ may have made the message feel serious at first, but now you clearly understand that true guidance never comes with pressure or fear. It never tells you that something will be lost if you don't act immediately. Instead, it allows you to stay calm, to think clearly, and to understand things at your own pace, and that is exactly what you have done. And that is why you are no longer affected. At this stage, you are fully in control of your thoughts, your emotions, and your response, because you are no longer reacting to what you read. You are deciding how to respond based on clarity, and that awareness becomes your strength. Because it keeps you calm in any situation where something tries to rush or scare you, and once you have this control, nothing can easily disturb your peace. And now you reach the final truth, that your peace, your clarity, and your control always come from within you, not from outside messages. And once you understand this completely, you naturally remain calm, aware, and stable in every situation. Because you are no longer reacting blindly, you are observing, thinking, and responding with clarity, and that awareness is what keeps you safe, focused, and in complete control of your mind and your reality.